Hi, I'm Nancy with Organizational Learning and Talent Development. Whether you're just starting out in your career or you're seeking a promotion, your leadership skills will be some of the most important qualities you ever have at work. Some of us are born leaders, but for those of us who are not, or maybe we've never led before, leadership skills can be learned. In this video, I'll focus on 5 core leadership skills that experts agree are essential for leadership throughout the organization, regardless of your role or your career stage. The first is self-awareness. This skill is about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses as a leader, and also how your behavior impacts others. If you want to inspire your coworkers and direct reports, pay close attention to how you're behaving in front of them. Your employees will look to you for guidance and follow your lead. The Center for Creative Leadership recommends boosting your self-awareness around 4 areas. The first is leadership wisdom. To cultivate wisdom, reflect on your leadership experiences. Think about how your behavior in past situations impacted your coworkers and work on looking at it from their perspectives. Think about how you're responding to challenges in your environment and how did it come across to others. Another area is leadership identity. This is tied to your leadership wisdom. These are your values and beliefs, and they drive your behavior and they define your core identity. So take time to examine how those assumptions that you're making are driving your behaviors. Another area is leadership reputation. This is how others perceive you as a leader. Understanding your reputation helps you determine whether it's really aligned with your core values. And once you're aware of any unknown weaknesses, you can work on strengthening those areas. And finally, there's leadership brand. How do you want to be perceived as a leader? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? This is your leadership brand. Self-awareness is key to developing a strong leadership brand. You also need to be aware of your leadership reputation. Only then can you work to change others' perceptions of your leadership abilities. To do this, identify your greatest leadership strengths and then work to enhance them. You might want to even create a leadership brand statement to make it really clear to yourself what traits and behaviors that you want to exhibit as a leader. Once you've identified your leadership brand, intentionally communicate it to the people around you and make sure that you're living your brand consistently. The next leadership skill is integrity. Author C.S. Lewis once said, "Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching." When you behave in ways that are consistent with your values, that's integrity, and it's really the foundation for leadership. If you want your employees to be honest and ethical, make sure you're leading by example. Just a few of the ways others observe your integrity include following through on your promises and commitments, going above and beyond in your work, giving people the credit they're due for their accomplishments, abiding by organizational policies, and treating people with respect. Integrity also means admitting when you've made a mistake. This is also one of the ways to show personal accountability, which is our next leadership quality. Strong leaders are accountable for their own and their team's results. When results are good, they give credit where it's due, and when mistakes are made, they take responsibility for the team when necessary. This ownership creates trust among your employees, and it also creates a sense of team responsibility. Leadership accountability also means realizing when a new skill, behavior, or perspective is needed, and then taking the responsibility to develop it within yourself. For example, when solving a problem with your team, how open are you to new ideas or ways of doing things? The most effective leaders are also lifelong learners, so keep an open mind and take advantage of opportunities to learn, and make sure you're providing those opportunities to learn for your employees as well. Another way that you may need to show accountability is in receiving feedback. Being open to feedback helps you increase your self-awareness, and it also helps you see problems and empowers you to take action to fix them. The fourth leadership skill is communication. Effective communication is critical for building relationships and motivating employees to do their best work. While there are many components of good communication, like writing and expressing yourself well, the number one most important component is listening. Employees are going to be more engaged and productive when they know they're being heard. They're also more likely to share their ideas and feedback with you. If you want to improve your listening skills, here are some tips for you. First, listen to understand. Be patient. Give the person your undivided attention. Don't interrupt and let them do most of the talking. Also, be aware of your own reactions. Don't get defensive or argue. And instead of offering your own advice or input, ask open-ended questions to get to the root of the issue. And once you think you understand the issue, then check for understanding by confirming what you've heard. And if you're still not clear, then encourage the person to keep talking until you do understand. The final leadership skill is influence. If you have influence as a leader, you're able to win others over to new ways of thinking about or doing things. Influence is based on connections rather than demanding that other people do what you want or what you need. It's also about building relationships and trust with people. So if you need to develop the skill of influence, here are some recommendations from the Center for Creative Leadership. The first is to identify who you need to influence. These are your stakeholders. So is it your direct reports, your supervisor, your customers? And each stakeholder has specific concerns, so you may need to approach them differently based on what would best appeal to them. So consider these three different approaches. First is the logical appeal. This is where you present fact or data-based information to convince your stakeholders of your position. That's best if you need to affect somebody's intellectual position. There's also the emotional appeal. Sometimes the facts alone don't win people over. Sometimes you have to inspire people by appealing to the heart. So you have to think about what's important to them. What are their goals and values? And how does your proposal coincide with those? Create a vision for them of what it looks like and how it will make things better. And then there's the cooperative appeal. This appeal involves collaborating, consulting, and building alliances with people. So because you're showing how you will work together on goals that are important to everybody, this appeal can be tremendously effective in influencing others. Influence is about more than appeals, however. Empowering your employees to lead and make decisions increases your influence as well as motivation and engagement for them. And that's because people who are given more control over their work find it more meaningful, and they're also willing to work harder. If you want to empower your people, make sure that you set clear expectations and parameters, but then get out of the way and allow them to figure out how they're going to get the work done. Provide the resources they need, support them and coach them along the way, and then celebrate their successes. So there's a lot to learn when it comes to leadership skills. So focus on improving one skill at a time. Increasing your leadership effectiveness is a continuous process, so make sure that you make your goal to continuously build on the skills throughout your career. Thanks for watching.